Evening, y'all. Hope you can hear me okay. Looks like we got about another minute or so before we get started, but looking forward to talking to y'all. Yeah, as we wait for a couple more folks to trickle in here, I just want to make sure I've got a good accounting of who's on the line. I see Mr. Black. Appreciate you joining us, John. Miss Eva, I see there. Trying to see if we have any other appointees on the line. Michelle, Kimberly, Melissa, Mr. Harris, great. Other than Miss Eva and Mr. Black, do we have any other appointees on the line that I'm missing? No, we got a couple of 803s down there. All right. Hearing none, I think yeah, we've got a little work to do there. That's something that I can, again, be working on, trying to reach out to folks, get them to sign on. I think council also took some action to appoint another Richland County designee. Kelly, had you heard anything about that? Did you hear from the clerk of council?
Back from her as of yet.
Okay. I believe that would have been the April 5th council meeting. And that would have been Miss Candace Pittman, I believe, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Patman. Someone we certainly should reach out to. If you don't mind, Kelly, let's circle up sometime this week and see if we can't figure out what's going on there and make sure that they're included for the next meeting, right?
Okay, I'll follow up with her in the morning and get back with them.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. But looking at the attendees here today, it looks like we are going to fall short of a quorum. So no motions required to get things rolling, but do still want to conduct the business of the committee and make sure that we're giving Richland County an opportunity to present the use of these funds. And so with that, we'll call this meeting to order. Kelly or Allison, have we heard anything about public comments or anyone who wished to speak on anything today?
No comments.
All right, very good. We'll omit item 3 in our agenda and move on to item 4 then. Ms. Rosenthal, love to hear all about the Office of Business Opportunities and what y'all have been up to here lately.
Good morning, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Epton. I'd like to start. Can you unmute myself?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about the darkness. No matter what kind of light I bring in here, it's still dark. So I'd like to start on page 4, contract participation. And as of April the 13th, we have payments to the certified SLBEs have been $42,445,669, and payments to the uncertified firms, of course, is $194,430,000. $587,000, $587, and the total participations is 236,876,280. Moving on to page 6, certified SLBE firms. We have, as of April the 8th, we have 8 pending certifications that are not listed in the directory. We have 14 renewals for certifications just less than 3 months. And we have a total certified 115. Just on page 7, I'd just like to highlight a couple of goals that were set very recently. In the project name column, the last 2 items in that section just above Public Works, Sunset Drive sidewalk improvement, we set a goal of 23% for the SLBEs. And that was did on April the 1st. And then on the very next one down, Brookfield Road sidewalk and Chatsworth shared use pathway. We also set a goal for our SLBEs for 25%. And that was effective on April the 1st of this year. The next page I'd like to jump to is page 9 in your handouts. And for our lunch and learn that we did on March the 7th, it was how to create an effective capability statement. And this was one of our very first lunch and learns. We had approximately 35 persons to participate. We have our next lunch and learn that is scheduled. And that topic will be Richland County business licenses, the new law, new action, and it will be conducted by presented by our very own Zachary Kavanaugh, the director of the business center here in Richland County. And that would be it for our changes that are listed in this handout.
Sounds great. Anticipating good turnout for that lunch and learn later this week?
Yes, we are. So far, we have about 147 registers, business owners.
Maybe not in Richland County, but certainly in Columbia, you hear a lot about how complicated that paperwork can be. So I'm sure that it's appreciated from Richland County as well to help parse through some of that. So that sounds great. Very good. Any questions for Ms. Rosenthal before we move on? All right, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
With that, we'll move into item 5 in our agenda, the transportation program update, and that's landing on page 11 of the PDF packet that I'm reviewing. Mr. Maloney.
Hey, sir. How you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. Hope you are as well.
Doing pretty good. Just came back from a week off, so enjoyed my week for the most part. We do have some upcoming projects going to ad hoc committee. So that's coming up for this next week. We've got Garner's Ferry Harmon intersection, and we have Ms. Steele here to add any additional comments to that award. And then South Fort Ventures is a mitigation bank sale is also coming up.
Okay. Would it be okay if we interjected each section, or would you like to hold questions to the end, Mr. Maloney?
If you have questions on each section, that'd be great, sir.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in on that bid award. I assume that we've already collected those bids. Bid versus budget. How are we doing?
Ms. Steele, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, you had to ask that, didn't you?
Well, I know they're not going well right now. We got to do our due diligence here.
Yeah, we did receive 2 bids, and they were very close to each other, but they were both significantly higher than our cost estimate. Our cost estimate is probably 6 months old or so. So you're probably aware over the last year, construction costs are just through the roof. They're, just crazy high. So that's part of it. And going back and reviewing our cost estimate, I believe that some of our line item estimates were kind of low as well. So our procurement department is reviewing that right now, and they'll make the determination whether to go ahead and award or to re-advertise. Overall, when we look at what we've spent to date on the project, the construction, and to close out the project, we're looking at maybe 200,000 to 300,000 above referendum amount. We do have some reserves available, so if it gets to that point, we would have to go back to council and ask for additional funding.
Okay, so how does that shake out in bid versus award? Or are we not making the bid information public yet?
That would be a procurement question. I'm not really sure. They're normal, back in the day when we did them live, they were open to the public.
Right.
But now they do them through the software they use is Bonfire. I'm not sure if the public has access to that. I can take a look at procurement's website and get back with you and see if they posted it. But that's, again, using fully the software, no paper, anything. I'm not really sure how they do it to releasing to the public.
Okay, be very curious about that. And, I guess with ad hoc, their meeting being next Tuesday, right? I guess they have a week to have their agenda out before the ad hoc meeting. Is that right?
That's right. We did go ahead and put together a standard template form to award, just leaving out the contractor's name and award amount, and ran that through our typical departments to approve, basically approve the form. And if procurement decides to award, we can get back and fill in the numbers and make sure it's that way we're sure to make it on this month's agenda. Okay.
So we'll keep an eye out for that. And then similar question is about that mitigation credit sale and how we're landing on that price versus some of our other recent sales.
I will leave that to Mike. I don't really get involved in the mitigation credits too much.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I do remember it was back down in the 11,005 versus the retail price that we try to set. And again, that's negotiated based on what's available in the market at the time. It tends to follow our competitors out there and their availability at the time to get it done. So if I recall right, this one was kind of back down. They've been going up and down depending on the needs of the particular wetland bank requirements.
Okay, very good. So it'd be things for us to keep eyes out on. And once we see that ad hoc agenda and look for those opportunities, provide guidance to our council members, John and Eva, once that comes back out. So awesome. Thank you very much. If y'all want to move into the pre-construction update, we can keep rolling.
Well, John, real quick, I did go take a look at procurement's website and they do have the bids posted. So it is available to the public. Just to go ahead and let you know, one of the numbers was 1.84 million and one was 8.9 million. So they were very close together.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I can testify. It doesn't matter what department you're in. Public Works has had some biggies come in too that kind of certain units knocked our socks off a little bit this summer on bids received. Surprisingly, we kind of anticipate changes in things like asphalt, but this time for one of our bids, it was real high on crushed aggregate base, just real high, and it might have to do with availability as well as trucking costs.
See, I wonder if you're starting to compete a little bit more with DOT for some of that material.
It may very well be. It's heating up with the projects they have out as well. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Okay. Very good. Thank y'all. Yes, Ms. Eva.
Hey, this is Eva. Where is South Fork Ventures? Where is that located?
I do not have that in front of me. I can put that down as a question to answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That is a great question to understand where the damage to the environment is happening so that we can understand what we're mitigating, right? So that's a great question. Okay. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear that as well, Mike.
Very well. All right, we'll put that out to tomorrow, committee-wide. And then move into pre-construction when you're ready, sir.
Please.
All right. Alpine Road, the OET is responding. We did get the final comments, and we're also fulfilling the utility coordination and our local project administration documents with SCO DOT on that project. Atlas Road widening, that has been the one that's right there. All the things we need to do to get it to construction. CSX came out with some requirements for the gates and the final plans for interfacing with their crossing, and the OETs, has our approval, and we did sign on to have them make those adjustments to the plans. Jeff McNesby's project manager on that reported about 1 month to submit to SCDOT for our construction approval.
Great.
Bluff Road widening phase 2. The OET has submitted the preliminary right-of-way plans and cost estimates for review. We're also getting, and that project was pretty much doing the intersections, major intersections for phase 2. And we are getting a cost to overlay the entire roadway from Armory to Beltline. And that's just knowing, the pavement conditions we have that are out there right now. Lifewood Road widening, moving way up into the northeast. Michael Green's working on that one, and we're just getting right-of-way certification on that project to ensure that all the right-of-way is ready for final utility documents and final plan submittals. And then Mr. Moakel's working on the Blythewood area improvements, and he has preliminary plans that have been submitted to DOT for McNulty and for Creech Road. Okay. Then we have Broad River Road corridor neighborhood improvement project. Michael Green's working on that, and that's early stages. They've just begun the surveying and traffic studies for it. And then the Broad River widening is Jeff McNesby. They're working on getting the preliminary plans up to speed with the 2021 standards. They had close to preliminaries, maybe when PDT left off, but with that gap of time, the standards have adjusted. So making sure our cross sections and road profiles match current standards. We've been meeting with folks on right-of-way acquisition and various efforts we can, as well as the utilities. I think we might have mentioned last year that we're dealing with a water supply rich area where that water tower is, and crossing Broad River Road in that in kind of midpoint in the project. So we're looking at potentially avoiding that relocation after meeting with the utility. There's a 54-inch water main, that delivers something like 40 to 50,000 gallons a minute to some possibly 400,000 people. And then there's another right near it, a 36-inch water transmission line as well we'd be crossing. So moving those sounds nearly immovable. So we're looking at adjustments in the design in that location to accommodate those staying in place. We'd have to write an exception with our OET on that to be able to do that. Those are things that we're doing to to eliminate some of the things that we know, like getting the easements that are needed for objects at large and relocations of utilities seem to be some of the lingering issues. Columbia Water does a lot of that for themselves, but anything we can do to help out with that as management of it, and the penny paying for it are things that we're trying to accomplish in the plan. Bull and Elmwood intersection, just went through there. I don't see the problem. Except for the people turning right where I'm turning left, and we're all mixing into the same queue. Mr. Moakel's working on that one as well. And that one, I don't know, are you out there, Rashid, as far as how far out you think you are for advertisement?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, we're just waiting on the utility coordinator to wrap up the utility plan so we can complete the big documents and advertise. So I'm hoping that she can get this wrapped up within the next couple of weeks.
Very good. All right. Hope for a good meeting with you all next weekend or next month on that one, so we can talk about the past. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome, Mike. Thank you.
You bet. And then you also have Crane Creek neighborhood improvement projects, and indicated that finally you're finalizing right away for phase 2. Preliminary plans for phase 3 were submitted. So still fairly early, midpoint to early in the design process there. Crane Creek Greenway is on page 12, top of page. And this is the one that, the original concepts were to go under a railroad underpass, and that underpass is kind of, kind of in a flood prone area. And the railroad's not really happy to see, a crossing under that. But they're working with them. I've had meetings, Dr. Ali, with them and the city. And there's an alternative to extend north to the Crane Creek along the corridor as an option. So they're still ironing out which way to go. Decker Woodfield, I know that that neighborhood improvement project, Michael Green, we're working on that, and we have had SC DOT comments now on the final construction plans, and the OET's working to address those. And then I know, Allison, you were working on getting that to the Rec Commission board for being on their May approval.
Right. I'm still waiting for their legal department to provide final comments.
Okay.
Once their legal reviews and adds any comments they would like, we would send it to our legal department for final review, and then hopefully get it on their next board meeting.
Very good. Okay, Hunt Club Road, still early on preliminary plans. Dirt Road Package N is being finalized. So that looks like spring, summer advertisement. And I know when we get into construction, we'll get into the other ones like K, L, and M. But just while I'm here, K is nearing completion, and L's underway in construction, and M is just getting started with one of the projects that the neighborhood's very interested in seeing get done. So we're working on those, but N is the one where, we're still adding, some potential projects there. Garner's Ferry Harmon.
Mr. Maloney,
Yes, ma'am.
Eva Prelo. Hi, how are you?
Doing good.
So what's the process when you said that we're still adding roads to Dirt Road Paving Package N? What is the criteria? What is the procedure is that citizens' input to add a road, or is it roads that are previously at some stage that
They were
staff determines? How's that?
Yes, ma'am. That is it's a long list of roads that were approved for funding based on their priority score. So they were scored, you know, at the beginning of the dirt road, excuse me, the penny program. And I've reviewed that entire list as far as it goes, and it gave priority to, you know, certain things like cut through traffic, if there's any, how many houses and churches are on the road. And so the more of that, the, you know, the higher the score is. So the more it's like a driveway, the lower the score would be, and the less it would have a chance of being funded in the current penny funding. So there's a list like that. I guess every now and then, and we, when I look at the where we are, let's see. I'll just kind of go to page 19, which is our kind of our fiscal review. When I look at the dirt road paving program, it had a $45 million budget, and we're at 23 million. So we're about halfway through, and I'd say we're not, you know, halfway through our list by far. So, you know, it's hard. It's, you know, if somebody said, well, I like this one better, it would, you know, kind of supplant the current list that we're on. And there were years 1 and 2 and years 3 and 4, as they had originally designated them priority lists. And so we're working through those lists. And then when Public Works was asked, hey, can you also kind of pick up on dirt roads? We started picking up on the unfunded, you know, top priority roads based on that same ranking. So, and we have done none yet because we're still, our funding's still under review for that. So that's how it was done.
Okay, thank you.
And I think also in the past, Mr. Maloney, you had asked us if we had any priorities that we had noticed or talked to folks about that you'd be willing to take that as an input for consideration. Is that correct, or am I misremembering?
Yeah,
That's-
you know, we would put out the whole list so you saw how it's funded, and you know, I think it's important to know what would happen if, you know, that input changed. But it is, I think we've been given direction by council to finish, you know, years, going back and looking at years 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, basically, to get those finished first.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. So yeah, Garner's Ferry Harmon, that was the one that we were just talking about going to under review before bid results. Gills Creek Greenway. This is one that Jeff is working on. The OET has the preliminary layout. And this is a one where we looked at Timber Lane and then extending north. So where there's a good place for trailhead to get to a north point, which that north point is Bright Avenue Extension, where that road doesn't necessarily go through, but we could have a connector back on out to a main road.
So that seems like a significant shortening of the project. I think I put it on a map earlier and it was like a 1/4 mile of trail that doesn't really seem to connect to a lot. Are we feeling like we're, I guess, meeting the charge of the referendum with those new limitations?
Well, it's just budget consideration on that. And I think we look at it as phases. So this would be phase 1. Phase 2 would to take it all the way up to the, you know, I think there's a car wash. That's a good marker. And take it up to that as a phase 2, but at least be able to see the pricing and the budget we have remaining to be able to do it in that kind of 2-step fashion. There's also some properties, I believe, you know, that are, I'll just say, in the way that we would need to garner easements through to get all the way up to the north.
Those are certainly obstacles. And I guess that starting on the north end and working to the south, was that considered? Is that an option?
It's an option that doesn't really provide a trailhead. That would be the one concern with it.
What about the tie-ins there along the creek with the project? I think, well, I may be getting ahead of myself. I thought there was a project there in the area where they're restabilizing, where they just installed that sewer line, to have a little parklet there between Jackson Boulevard and Divine. Is that be a sufficient trailhead, or I guess we need something that's a little bit more substantial, or maybe a parking lot like we're planning at Timber Lane?
Yeah, I did see something there. As far as getting an easement, it was fairly small, but I think we were concerned with its position and the trail's position to one another. I don't know if Mr. McNesby, if you want to weigh in on that, that would be fine. And I'm putting all kinds of people on the spot.
He won't be able to find the mute button now.
Allison, if you want to speak to that too, that would be fine.
Yes, so I'm sorry, I was trying to measure to get a good length for you. Can you repeat the question? And the length I did come up with, if you include all of Timber Lane, is 0.8 miles.
Okay. So it would be, I see. Okay, so all of Timber Lane and then up to Bright Avenue. That makes a little more sense. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, the question was about, if there could be room on the north end of the corridor there to put in a trailhead in that location.
So the issue we ran into with where the car wash is, which was our goal to try to go up to, they have really already granted us an easement along the rear of their property, along the creek. We have gone back and asked them, for connectivity reasons, can we go in to the front and make our connection up to Garners Ferry Road in the front of your property along that driveway into the shopping center? And they basically said, absolutely not. We don't want you directing, it's technically private property. It's a driveway. We don't want your greenway in the front of our property, stick to the back. So kind of, it's really just, I'm not sure what the width is. It's probably a 20, 30 foot easement. It's really hard to try to fit in a trailhead in that area.
I understand. Yeah, they're built right up to the creek. And so the eventual termini will have to be behind the car wash. Then we won't be able to tie into that green space between Divine and Jackson Boulevard.
That's right. We looked at the option of maybe installing stairs from the creek up along Garners Ferry up to the intersection. It would be a very tight squeeze. If we do have a phase 2, that is something to look at. That would still bring us up to the road, up to the intersection, and provide that connectivity across Garners Ferry.
Okay. Interesting. I look forward to seeing what y'all are able to come up with it. I know y'all are facing a lot of challenges, both budgetary and space-wise, but very curious to see what we come back with and what we're able to pull together. So I appreciate y'all engaging and entertaining me for a moment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so for next month, if we could, we'll add, the concept of that so you could see the corridor.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, you bet. Okay, Lower Richland Boulevard. Dr. Ollie's been working on that, and I know they're finalizing preliminary plans. We're also working with, hey, Jeff, you can mute. Working with SCDOT on a couple of design exceptions, vertical areas where there might need to be a wall. They may adjust the center line road alignment, but the OET is working on the best case there. kind of one spot is kind of near the Garners Ferry intersection. One's about halfway up the road. And then Percival Road Sidewalk, that's one with Jeff McNesby's a project manager. We met out there a little over a week ago and looked at this, what we do describe in here as a low area where we were initially worried about the road and that, you know, is the road pulling away or anything like that. But it appears that there's a fill needed for the sidewalk. In a particular road, low area. It's not a direct drainage way. It can be pushed out as far as creating a new shelf for a sidewalk in there. So that's something we're going to proceed with the engineer. Pineview Road widening. Again, early on in the stage, that was descoped, I believe, for 3 lanes, and in some areas there'll be turning lanes. And that one, they're just working on the preliminary plans, and the same with Polo Road widening.
Just a quick update from what the PDF says for Polo Road widening. We did get 30% plans submitted to me today, and I did provide a few minor comments back to the OET. So they should have those addressed in the next week or so and get those submitted to DOT for review.
Great. Okay, that turns us to 13 on our resurfacing S&T. Resurfacing S is one where we're finalizing the list. It looks like Mounty Road will be added in there, which is kind of a connector between, I believe, Bluff Road and Shop Road, kind of a key road that's maintained by the county with a lot of economic development going on there. So those packages are probably going to be going out in close proximity to one another. Screaming Eagle Percival intersection, Michael Green's been working on that. They set their SLB goal, and they're finalizing the bid documents. So I underlined end of April for advertisement, and so that's what Michael says it's on track for. The one thing that they've been keeping us from doing that any sooner is the utility coordination, and our coordinators working with AT&T to finalize the relocation plan. So they're otherwise ready to go out. Dr. Ollie's been working with on the Shop Road widening, and kind of the big thing there is looking at an undersized culvert, and he's still awaiting some DOT response on what the upsizing should be for those pipe crossings.
It'd be interesting to see if DOT is going to step up and do those replacements in a timely manner at that.
Yeah. But that, I guess, what stage would you say we are there, Allison? Maybe early preliminaries?
Yeah, we are preliminary. And what the drainage calculations show is basically what there now doesn't even handle the 10-year. So with our widening to 5 lanes, it's really going to be drastically undersized. So once we can get this coordination settled with DOT, I feel that we could be pretty close to having 30% completed plans in the next maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay. And that's a pretty large project. So Smith Rocky Branch Greenway. She's been working on that, and the OET is working to finalize the right-of-way plans. So 30% structural have been submitted to the city for review. Nothing new there. Spears Creek Church Road widening. I know that's Allison's project because Allison had a real nice neighborhood meeting on that one with public input. So she's waiting, they're waiting for final approval from SCDOT. Well, would you say final approval or final comments on preliminaries?
We have received comments back on our 30% plans, and the OET has addressed those and sent them back. So we are waiting for them to approve the 30% plans.
Okay.
When was that public meeting?
I'd have to go back and look at the exact date. I believe it was back in September,
Okay.
maybe timeframe.
Sunset Drive sidewalk, real simple project there. It's just a lot of roads coming into one spot, and we're trying to get a sidewalk through. So the good news is the property, we had a little bit of time negotiating with the key property owner there, and that property is now acquired. So that project can move pretty quickly now. Trenholm Newcastle neighborhood improvement project. I know we had what was that community development having a kind of a walk-up pocket meeting outside at about a couple weeks ago, and we had some feedback from kind of a neighborhood representative there, and Kim volunteered to go to the neighborhood meeting last week and got some feedback on the project. So based on that feedback, we're verifying the final scope with the OET.
Great. Love hearing about that engagement.
Yeah, and it'll change some things. You know, there was a road that was a little short as far as what the OET was planning, and the neighborhood remembered, hey, this used to go through to here. So we're just verifying that from the past and what changes were made and why, and potentially, you know, those comments will be fruitful for the neighborhood.
Great.
That's it for pre-construction. And I guess one of the construction projects, I did go over the dirt road packages. They're coming up. I know Allison's working out on Vista Phase 2. And we get questions on that in North Main. In North Main, we would love to see it, that Monticello Road intersection in construction now, but it is going through the DOT approval process. We did have one kickback where, you know, the way we submitted it, they wanted it broken into two different parts. That got back into their process, and it also has to go to Federal Highway for approval. And once that's done, we can get going. And that is on change order that tends to all the underground work that needs to be done to make the road better at that intersection.
Is that change going to take us above the referendum amount, or are we still in contingency with that?
No, we're fine. So the referendum amount really is the IGA we had with the city of $30 million. We're above that, but we're above that by the amount of the grants. And so when we're done, well, actually, we're planning on being a million or so under, you know, the total grants and 30 million. So we're leaving some contingency in there for something to potentially be found, but based on the remaining scope, we feel good about it being under referendum.
Great.
And then resurfacing R, again, we mentioned that's just about done. Three Rivers Greenway. Yeah, the contractor's just addressing the punch list after the walkthrough with the city of Columbia. So that's pretty much done.
Who's in charge of that section of Greenway these days?
As far
Still
as,
Richland counties.
oh, Yeah, the maintenance, who's turned over maintenance? You mean like on phase 1A?
Right, but with 1B, I remember the city was doing an event down at Boyd Island recently, and I was wondering if they were pirating your trail or if they had permission to be down there.
You know, I think possession is 9/10 of the law, so we'll be happy to turn it over to them. I think there will be documents they'll want as built and things like that before they make it official on paper, but it's we're happy to see them do maintenance. And that is it, but the upcoming work that we have going on with roads that we see that'll come to bid, you know, Alpine, Percival, Sunset, Atlas, Bull, Elmwood, Lifewood, Widening. And so there's always these little things, but they're all getting close to get to procurement. This month we added, as we promised last month, besides, you know, listing the resurfacing packages, we put in the so in our financial record, you can see what are our big projects and where are we on them kind of fiscally, but it doesn't really tell you what the, you know, what are the bikeway projects and bike lanes, sharrows, you know, so we wanted you to be able to see those. In those that were removed, you know, for instance, due to SCDOT design restrictions or lack of connectivity, you know, some of those things where the projects didn't make sense that had been, you know, identified kind of in the fine points of the referendum.
Okay. That looks great. I'm just kind of scrolling back up here. Allison, do you want to brag at all on anything with Green Street, or is it kind of where it was last time? Waiting on that material from that shipping container out of Germany or whatever it was.
Well, we do have final approval of the shade structure connections. So it's just a matter of the fabricator getting everything built so that they can get it installed. So right now we have the date of June 2022. I have not received a request for extending that yet. I kind of anticipated just with how long everything's taking and the uncertainties again with delivery of materials. So again, that may get pushed back to July, August, but we do have the approval we needed to move forward with getting it built.
Hopefully it'll be ready for the students next fall, maybe.
Yeah,
Good goal.
I want to give Allison kudos on that. I got to see a catch-22 almost between structural engineers and builders on that shade structure, and she was able to iron that out. So that was no small feat.
Way to go.
We have activated the traffic signal at Eugene Green. So we've done a walkthrough with the city and DOT and everybody. They're addressing all the punch list items. So we're anticipating in the next month, everything but the bridge to just really be accepted and functional. We're still waiting on the city to do the petition process to close the 2 railroad crossings, but otherwise it's moving. We don't have any holdups besides the shade structure again and the railroad crossings at this time.
That's great. And very nice asphalt out there. I was riding my bike around on it. It's all very smooth. Well laid. Very good. Eva, John, y'all have any questions about anything we've heard about here? Awesome. Real quick before we jump into the comment, I did want to ask a little bit about the financial summary that's at the top of our packet. Let me see here. Let me figure out what page that was. Oh, I'm sorry. You know where I'm looking at? I'm looking at the monthly report. That's the one I was actually thinking about here. Looking at that packet, it looks like the penny hasn't received funding, and I had to go back and look at some former packets since like April of last year. I'm just curious, when do those allocations from the sales tax collection hit the penny account? Is that an annual, or is it council kind of decide when that happens? Just catching up on that.
We do get the payments from Treasury quarterly.
Okay.
So if that hasn't been updated in the report in a while, that's on us. We need to get that updated. Otherwise, you know, we do go through the annual budget process just like every other department. So we actually don't get the funds in our department except once a year.
So the allocation, I guess it's funded once a year and then allocated 4 times a year. Is that right? Or
Once they collect the revenue, they send quarterly payments to the county quarterly. But our annual budget that goes through council approval,
I see.
Finance will project how much they believe will get revenues over the next year. They'll provide that number to us, and then we go through and provide and break it down and spread it through all the projects. And that's what actually goes to council every year to get approved.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. And then with that, then do y'all have kind of an internal goal where you're looking to spend X amount each month or every year to kind of make sure you're burning through it? I mean, is it what, like 80 million a year or something like that you're looking to spend?
But we would like to spend every penny that council will approve for us and that we think we will generate. It's just unfortunately with hiccups with things like utilities and whatnot, we never know, honestly. But yes, our goal is to spend every penny we have available every year.
Understood. Interesting. I'll be looking forward to that update and the next report that comes out. I guess that'd be the March report is the next one that's due. So definitely take a look at that. I'd be interested to see where we're at and see if there's a significant jump there, and may need to include an asterisk to explain that a little bit. Like I said, I tried to track back through them, and it seemed like April of last year was the last contribution I saw there. All right, very good. So let me scroll back down here. I'll give y'all another chance. I've been continuing to ask questions. Anything else for the transportation folks before we move on to the comment? All right, very good. With that, Eric, I see you're on the line, and Allison and Mike and everybody else, thank y'all very much for sharing with us on the transportation stuff. It was very helpful, very thorough. But Eric, I see you're on. Thank you very much for joining us. Before you get started, I got to tell you, I caught a presentation from Blake Gibbons a couple weeks ago, y'all's intern. He was talking about reimagining the Comet and did an incredible job. But look, if y'all aren't offering him a job when he gets out of school, let me know. I'll hire him. We'll find a place for him over here. All right.
There we go.
Thorough presentation. He was able to take a little bit more time to kind of explain the concepts behind Reimagine. It was helpful to catch it all. So I appreciate you making him available for that presentation that day. But with that, I could turn it over to you and you can run with it here.
Absolutely. We're pretty much business as usual. We are preparing for our service change that is scheduled for May 8th, 2022. In the same breath, we are still coordinating plans for Lucius and River. That project is underway, and if you ever drive by, you will see that all the trees are gone, and they've completed the grading. It looks like they're moving to the next phase of that project. We had a meeting last week just to discuss cost escalation, and obviously we're having a lot of those issues throughout not only South Carolina but everywhere else, just as construction costs are starting to increase due to the pandemic. We should start to see schedules for Lucius and River be developed over this summer. So that'll be the next phase after we get past this service change for May 8th. And from there, we will start working on route alignments as well, what tomorrow may look like, for the new super stop that we're building. Taking a look at the ridership report, now that we're past the holiday season, ridership is up by 3% for weekday service, 12%, and up by 12% for Saturday service, and down by 6% for Sunday service. There were no significant reductions in service during the weekday, and all Saturday service routes saw an increase in ridership except for routes 84 and route 57L, which is Killian and Clemson. Sunday service was not as fortunate, obviously, but again, it only decreased by 6% in overall ridership, and routes 301 was actually down, and route 76 and route 77 was down in ridership, but no major changes there. But outside of that, that pretty much concludes the analysis of where we are as far as ridership goes. Looking at bus stop amenities. Over the past month, we managed to have, managed to get 2 stops approved through the permits. And also we completed 1 site and then we have 4 sites that are in progress. We are in the process of assigning more locations, as we discussed in our last meeting. And I cannot think of the bus stop name, but we did go ahead and send over information to move forward, John, to make sure that we can get an amenity at the site that you sent over. So we are steadily working towards that. And outside of that, that pretty much concludes my report for today. So not as winded.
Well, very good. I've already got another bus stop with aspirational amenities that could probably use a bench as well on South Beltline. I'll send you an email about that one to make sure you're aware of that one too. With Reimagine the Comet, are we getting ready for some public meetings and that sort of stuff about to come up?
Absolutely. So we're still working through that and trying to coordinate those next steps and trying to figure out how we want to frame it. In the previous sitting, we more so met at the most popular, highly trafficked locations like Comet Central, Harbison area, some of those corridors. So we do plan to choose that same approach again, but we also are trying to explore, do we want to do in-person meetings as well, now that we're starting to see people engage more so in person. So as I get more information, I'll be happy to share with the group. And I'll let you know how you can get more involved in the process as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate that very much and look forward to that. How did the board presentation go on the 23rd?
Oh, it went well. So they did approve to move forward. So that pretty much sparked the next steps in the process to start discussing the public engagement period for that final draft. So we are really excited about that, and it seems as if our board members are as well.
Very good. And you mentioned, I think last time, maybe be able to provide a draft version for us. Is that possible that you might be able to send something like that along?
Yes. So I did include it in last month's report.
Okay, great.
But what we're in the process of doing is renumbering the routes because it's not as easy to translate if you're not as familiar with the system and the lay of the land, of course. So they're working on that now. And as we get that finalized draft, I make sure I share that with the group as well.
Very good. Thank you for that. I've got to ask about the electric and hydrogen buses and where we're at with those and when they're going to be online.
For the first time, I don't have a significant update with the hydrogen buses this time.
Nothing changed.
Yeah, nothing changed. I think it was, this has been a long month. And so our reporting period is kind of throwing us off just a little bit, but I make sure, again, when I get that information, I'll send it over to you.
Okay, very good. Awesome. Y'all got any other questions for Mr. Harris?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. Mr. Harris, do you have, or do your committee or staff hold a standard meeting, monthly meeting that is open for others to join? Currently in place?
Well, outside of the committee meetings or board meetings?
Yeah.
So we do have a committee meeting, and that is the second Wednesday of every month. That is our service committee meeting. That is open to the public. If you have any public input, you can always feel free to attend. In our last committee meeting, of course, we had a lot of people that showed up to discuss Lucius and River. And so we did receive that feedback. And same thing for the board meeting. So if you can attend either one and provide information during the public comments period.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. And if anyone on the line has any direct questions too that you would like to email me, my email address is nharris@thecommonsc.gov. I know sometimes it's a little weird because my name is Natavis Eric Harris, and but everyone calls me Eric, but it's nharris@thecommonsc.gov.
That's how they do you with the government email addresses, right?
Yep.
Understood. Very good. Well, with that, thank you, Eric. I appreciate your summary. Always appreciated you joining us here. So thank you. With that, we can move on to some of our other business items. Our next meeting is May 16th. As I mentioned, kind of at the top of the call, there was another Richland County appointee recently that I believe was approved by council. So we'll get that confirmation hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. And I need to task myself with an outreach effort to try to contact more appointees to get them to join these meetings. Our powers very much derived from all of us being present. And so with only 3 of us here, it's a good productive group, and we're able to certainly provide an opportunity for everyone to update the county on what's going on. But for us to take action, we need a few more people to tune in. So I think that our quorum number will be at 6 for the next meeting, since we do have that new appointee. But like I say, we need to do continue that membership maintenance. So my fellow appointees, let me know if y'all would like a role in any of that. I'd be happy to let you know how we might be able to do some outreach and find the folks that we need to make sure we're hitting a quorum on these meetings. But with that, and short any other, I did want to mention too, Kelly, I didn't see today's agenda posted on the TPAC page. If we can just make sure that we got those posted when they go out to us, that'd be very helpful. And
Okay,
I understand
sure,
you're
no
probably probably some last minute inputs coming in, that sort of thing, that would prohibited getting up sooner, but I did notice that was lacking this month. But y'all, as long as if no one else has anything else to say, I'll give y'all a moment to speak up. Very good. I appreciate everyone's time very much. Y'all have a great month. We'll talk on May 16th. Thank y'all. Have a great evening.